ask you if it was possible that this was a sweetheart deal to loot an insolvent company by insiders to leave the company without sufficient or leave the company with even less to pay its honest debts.
As I mentioned, I was not there. I simply do not know the answer to that question.
No, you were there. This was in October of November of last year.
Yes. No, let me explain. The work that I asked to be done in October of November last year was, are these valid contracts? Are we required to pay them? Can we break these contracts?
And that's what
I'm
asking.
What will happen if we do?
There's an important factual question here. Was AIG solvent? Were these arm's length transactions or were these sweetheart contracts?
Yes, I'm not a lawyer, sir, but I would say at the end of 2007, 2008, when they were entered into, AIG was solvent. It was before the very substantial credit crunch of the third and fourth quarter.
Have you seen the written questions and written answers from Joseph W. St. Dennis provided in October of last year to the Government Reform and Oversight Committee as part of their investigation of AIG? He was the Vice President of Accounting Policy at AIG Financial Products from June 2006 to October 1, 2007. He said that he resigned because on multiple instances beginning in the late summer of 2007, Mr. Cassano took actions that I believe were intended to prevent me from performing the job duties for which I was hired. He gave several instances, one of which was the valuation of credit default swap portfolio, and said that Mr. Cassano pretty clearly admitted that he had intentionally cut or excluded Mr. St. Dennis from those discussions. Have you reviewed this?
I have not.
Are you familiar with it?
I am familiar with it, yes.
Okay. Have you looked at whether Mr. Cassano or anyone else has any liability to your corporation on any basis?
You know, as I said, I'm not a lawyer, but there is no evidence of wrongdoing in any of this.
This isn't evidence of wrongdoing?
No, sir.
This isn't evidence of cooking the books?
I have not read it, so I can't comment on it.
You said in your testimony, and I agree with this, that when you owe someone money, you pay that money back. The United States government, the American people, don't owe anyone for the debts of AIG. It's not our debt. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure I understand, Mr. Miller. We owe. AIG owes the government,
right,
the American people, $80 billion. Full
yes.
Stop.
But what you owe your counterparties, that's not a debt of the United States government.
No, it's a debt of AIG.
Okay. There has been a study by economists on what works and what doesn't when a nation's banking system collapses, its financial system collapses. And one of the characteristics, well, transparency. The second is maintaining market discipline. And that means that shareholders bear the loss, but it also means that unsecured creditors bear the loss. Anyone who is in a position to determine the ability of the corporation they are doing business with to pay their debts should bear the loss, not presumably taxpayers. Are we maintaining market discipline by continuing to give money to AIG to pay unsecured creditors, to pay the counterparties to your credit default swaps?
Well, that whole process is over. We are not doing any of that any longer. We've walled off those liabilities, if you will. But to your basic point, we owe those people that money. I mean, it's just a fact of life. We owe. AIG owes those counterparties that money. If you don't pay them,
you did.
The result,
we didn't.
Right. But the result of not paying them is an event of default, and it forces the company into bankruptcy.
Okay. Are you going to examine ever whether there is any liability by any officer, director, or employee of the Financial Products Unit?
Yes, there are ongoing investigations by the Justice Department and the SEC and the FBI and a regulatory agency in the UK. We are cooperating fully with those investigations.
I'm talking about civil liability to the corporation for breach of fiduciary duty or whatever else. Are you examining whether you can sue them? You seem to be terrified they might sue you. Are you going to sue them?
No, we did examine that. And again, the judgment was on a risk basis. If we don't have those people, we increase the risk that something happens at AIG FP, and we undo everything we've done to get to this point.
Okay, gentlemen, we have 8 votes on the floor. It will possibly be 1